like my life is over. Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. I never say that. I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't ever know what to say at the beginning of my videos, but I am coming to you from the beach, Clearwater Beach. Do y'all want to see the view? Y'all will see the view in my next or in the other vlog, but I just wanted to show y'all my beautiful view right now. As you can see from the title, I am going to be giving y'all a story time of how I got a kidney transplant, or why I needed a kidney transplant. Yes, I am a kidney transplant recipient as of March 23rd, 2009. So this year, yesterday, actually made 12 years since I received my kidney transplant. All right, y'all, so let's start this story time. I'm gonna try not to cry. I'm glad I have these sunglasses on, but I'm probably gonna have to take them off. So let's get started. So it was August 2005. Katrina had just hit New Orleans. We had to go to Houston, and even right before going to Houston, like months before, I can just remember months before, I can't remember how long before I started to have these symptoms. So I would get Charlie horses all the time. I lost a lot of weight. Like, I couldn't keep, it's not that I couldn't keep food down, but I couldn't eat much food because I would get nauseous. Hold on a minute, y'all. There's gonna be a lot in the background, so we're gonna have to try to tune that out. So when I would eat, I couldn't eat much of my food because I would get nauseous and full really easy. And what else symptoms? I just remember the Charlie horses, the nausea, the loss of appetite, fatigue, and that's all I remember. Those are the only symptoms that I had before I knew what was going on. So, and a lot of bruising. I would get a lot of bruising, and I still get a lot of bruising, and Charlie horses. But those are the symptoms that I had prior to me knowing what was going on with me, and I just ignored them. Like, I did not pay any attention to them. Like, it was just like they weren't even there. So I have been going through this, from what I can remember, for some months. Katrina hit, we moved to Houston. I moved with my friend for like a couple weeks because we were out of a house because of Katrina. So and then when we finally, actually when she made me go to the doctor, we hadn't had our own apartment by then. This was probably this probably was September now. We had our own apartment, and she's like, no, that's it, Nadia, I'm gonna have to change my battery. She's like, Nadia, I'm gonna bring you to the hospital. So we went to the ER, and I'm gonna stop there so I can change my battery. Okay, I'm back. I hope that's close to the position that I had been before. So she brought me to the ER. I went to the ER, and the doctor who saw me, first of all, he was very rude, very nasty. I told him what I was experiencing, and he was like, the emergency room is not for that. And I can't remember what he said. The emergency room is like for a broken arm, or just like emergencies, I guess. He thought I didn't have an emergency. I didn't know what was going on with me, but they did do blood work. And let me tell you how evil he was, because this is evil. So I had no pre-existing conditions at the time. I had nothing wrong with me. So he did the blood work, and the blood work is a telltale sign if your kidneys are failing, or whatever. If your kidneys are failing, that's how they tell, by your blood work. So he did the blood work, and he was just like, okay, you have contusions, which are bruises. You have contusions, and that was it. Like, that's what he wrote on the discharge papers from the ER. Like, I didn't stay overnight or anything. I was just there maybe a couple hours. So he referred me to a kidney doctor. He just said, follow up with this doctor. But he never said that this is a nephrologist or anything. He's like, follow up with this doctor. And I didn't know what kind of doctor it was. I'm thinking it's just like a primary care doctor. So I followed up with that doctor. And when I called to schedule the appointment, they were like, well, this is a kidney doctor. Do you have any issues with your kidney? And I'm like, no, because he didn't tell me that at the time. So I'm assuming with his nasty attitude, maybe he just, gave me any number or gave me the wrong number. So some weeks passed by, I'm still having the same symptoms. And my friend had her primary care doctor that she was seeing, so she took me to him, did the blood work. I go home. He calls me on the phone, like, I need you to come into the office now. I'm nervous, y'all. When I tell y'all all kinds of stuff was going through my mind, I'm thinking I have some kind of, honestly, I'm gonna tell y'all, I thought I had like a disease. You probably know a disease that you can't get rid of. I don't want to say the name of it. Hold on 1 minute, because this wasn't a good place to do a story time. But he called me in, and like I said, I thought I had a really, you know, even though what I had, you know, what I was diagnosed with what I was diagnosed with was a huge deal, but I thought it was something else. So I'm like, I even questioned her, and I'm like, wait, is anything wrong with you? Like, did you give me anything? I don't know if you remember that, but I was questioning him. I'm like, did you give me something? So I'm like nervous. My heart is racing going into this doctor's office. So I go into the doctor's office. He brings me into his office, not like into a regular doctor's office room, like the examining room. He brought me into his office. He's like, you have kidney failure. You're gonna need a transplant. You're gonna need to start dialysis. At this time I'm 26 years old. I'm about to cry, y'all. 26 years old. Three small children. Just went through Hurricane Katrina, and wait, y'all. Let me just let this pass.
I'm just good.
So like I said, at this time I'm 26 years old. 3 children. I don't even really know about kidney failure, kidney disease, dialysis, kidney transplant, but I know it was serious. So I just started crying immediately. So I remember I called my cousin and my auntie on the phone because they worked in a medical office. So I called them on the phone. So I told them what was going on. I don't even remember what they said. I'm pretty sure they knew the severity of it. I knew to an extent, but I didn't really know. So I leave his office, hurt, distraught. I go home. I blocks it out my mind. I'm going on with my life. I want to say I took a trip to New Orleans, and by the time I came back, he called me to come back to his office to check on me. So he's like, did I find him? I don't know if he referred me to a nephrologist or if he wanted me to find my own nephrologist, which is a kidney doctor. But he's like, you're not taking this serious. You can die. So at this point, let me tell y'all, I don't know if y'all know much about kidneys, what your kidneys do. So your kidneys filter your blood. They filter all of the toxins out of your blood. So these toxins are building up in my blood, and that's why I'm nauseous. I can't eat because I have all of these toxins in my blood. So he's like, this is serious, you can die. I just remember, and this was actually, I did know, because I remember on my way to New Orleans for that trip, this was before he told me this, I just remember I was in the car with my friend and her friend, and we were going to New Orleans, and I just remember they were like dancing to the music, and in my mind I'm like, my life is over. And that's how I was feeling. So I was like, you know, what am I gonna do? What's gonna happen to me? Hurry up. So fast forward after the doctor. So I went to see a nephrologist, and he did the blood work. He said I was in end-stage renal failure. That's what it's called. So he's like, you know, you never have blood, because these are the people who usually their kidneys fail. People with high blood pressure, people with diabetes, an infection, like a really bad infection, can cause your kidneys to fail. And that's all that I know. It could, thank you.
You're welcome.
It could be genetic, and can I have some napkins? It can be genetic or genetics, but I had none of those.
Let me get a few napkins.
So yeah, so Oh, with the nephrologist, I told him, you know, no, I never had any of that. But something that doctors always ask me now is, did they do a biopsy? He never did a biopsy, because a biopsy can determine what was going on with your kidneys too. But now, like these years, you know, when they started to ask me after I was diagnosed, and it was, I think it was probably too late to do a biopsy. So he didn't do a biopsy. He did the blood work. He sent me to go, I had to go into this like outpatient facility. They had to put a catheter. I still have the scar for it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I still have the scar. I don't know if y'all can see it, but this right here, I have a catheter that was coming out here some kind of way. I don't remember how it was in. I don't know if it just went from here to my heart, but yeah, I had a catheter right there. That's what they put in first. So that's for emergency dialysis, which I started off with hemodialysis. They put the catheter there. I had to go to dialysis 3 times a week. I had to stay there 4 hours, I want to say a day. And when I tell y'all, when I first started, I was so depressed. Like, I did not want to go into this place. I was the only young person there. The dialysis was like a hard strain on my heart, like a pulling of my heart. My skin got so dark from the dialysis. I lost so much weight. Like, I got so small. Also, so on the dialysis machine, for some reason, I used to get these, what do you call it? The sleep paralysis. And I couldn't wake up. Like, I will be on that machine. For some reason, it made me have sleep paralysis. And I would be on the machine, fall asleep, and then couldn't wake up. Like, couldn't move, couldn't do anything. It was so scary. Just knowing in my sleep, I'm on this machine. I can't move, I can't wake up, I can't signal anybody or anything. So I don't know why that was happening to me, but that was happening to me. I couldn't travel because I had to have the dialysis 3 times a week. So I did the dialysis for a while, and then we stayed in Houston for like a year. Let me get some of my milkshake, y'all. It's leaking. I don't like it. You want to taste it?
What about that? Green banana?
You
don't like it?
tastes like milkshake. I don't know what's the consistency. It's off. Okay, y'all. So I want to make sure that I'm not leaving anything out. Like, there were times that, because we would be traveling back and forth, or people like traveling around us, like family will be traveling. I don't want any ice cream. I'm okay. It's nasty, huh? What is that? What you say? Would be traveling back and forth to New Orleans, and I couldn't travel. By this time, Tyron had went back to work. He had to go back to work to New Orleans, and it was me and the girls that were living in Houston. He had family that lived in the same apartments as us. My mom was there, and then I had my friend there. So people would be traveling back and forth to New Orleans, and I couldn't go. So it was just like so hurtful. Like, I'm stuck here. I'm going to dialysis 3 times a week, and that's another thing. So when you get off the machine, like, we lived on the 2nd floor in the apartments. I would be so weak, I can barely walk up the stairs. It's only like, it only lasts like a little while, like a couple hours after you finish dialysis. Like, it pulls, it drains you. I'm telling you, it's like so much pressure on your heart. Another thing that caused me, besides my dark skin, losing weight, my eyes, like even now, my eyes are not, ooh, goodness. Let me tell y'all, I don't do these seagulls, these birds on the beach. So my eyes now, even now, like, they're red. My eyes are not white the way they used to be. All right, fast forward a year of hemodialysis. We moved to New Orleans, moved back to New Orleans. So I do the hemodialysis in New Orleans for a little while, and then I transitioned. I learned about peritoneal dialysis. They call it PD, and hemodialysis for short they call it HD. I think they call it HD. I don't know. Or hemo. They might just call that one hemo. But anyway, so we moved back to New Orleans. I transferred doctors and everything to Oxnard. So I learned about the PD. So I start PD. Let me tell y'all what PD is. So with the peritoneal dialysis, you do it at home. You do it 3 times a day. So it's like an IV bag, but it's bigger than an IV bag. It's like sodium solution that and they call them exchanges. So I had a catheter in my stomach. Let me tell y'all one more thing. I'm sorry, because I don't want to forget anything. So I was so like against, and I think that's how I learned about PD and went with PD. I was so against getting that fistula, I think that's what it's called, in my arm. Do y'all ever see those people with those big lumps in their arm? Like even after they get their transplant, their arms are like scarred and big like that forever. So I was so against that. I even kept the catheter in my chest for longer than it was supposed to be there. That was only supposed to be, I want to say like a month, or just temporary, probably shorter than that, just until I get the fistula placed in my arm, because I needed dialysis right then and there. And I think that's the surgery. They have to put you under to put that in your arm. I think that's how that goes. So I did not want that. And I kept that catheter in me for a year. And I can't believe I was able to do that. Like, I was so prone to infection and everything. I didn't get any infection or anything. Thank God. So I started the PD. I got the catheter put into my stomach to do the PD. Like I was saying, it's an IV bag. So you just place it on the IV pole and you connect the tubes and everything. And with this one right here, you have to be super, super clean, because you can get peritonitis, which is an infection in your peritoneal. I think, wait, is that right? I think that's right, y'all. It's been so long. So, the exchanges. So I would take that fluid and I would take the connectors or whatever connected to my catheter in my stomach, and then, did I say what? Connect the tubes? Is that what I said? I would connect the tubes to my catheter, and I would insert that fluid into my stomach. When I tell you it would make my stomach big to where I looked like I was pregnant, I had to go with that. So, I would have to do that 3 times a day. You leave it in, was it for like 4 hours? I don't even remember. I think you leave it in for 4 hours and you're doing 3 times a day. I might be wrong, y'all. Don't quote me on that. This was like 12 years ago, because I've been having my transplant 12 years. So I would have to do that 3 times a day. And when it's time to put a new one in, I would have to drain the old fluid out and then put a new fluid in. So I have to do that, like I said, 3 times a day, every day. This wasn't like the hemo where you do it 3 times a week. This was the everyday. So I did that. I decided to get onto the transplant list. I got on the transplant list because at first, when I was in Houston, I was praying for healing. I was just praying to God for whole healing. And I didn't know if maybe he wanted me to get a transplant, because I prayed, I'm like, if it's your will for me to get a transplant, open the door for me to get a transplant. So I did the PD, and I want to say I was on a transplant list. I don't know if it was 2 years. It probably was 2 years. I didn't ask anybody, because I'm just not that person to ask anybody if they wanted to donate a kidney to me. My nephrologist in New Orleans, he was always like, did you talk to anybody about it? Just bring it up. He was even telling me to bring it up to strangers. He was like, he knew of strangers giving people a kidney. So Tyron got tested. It's not only your blood type, but it's also, it has something to do with antibodies. Some kind of reaction with antibodies. And we were the same blood type, but something when it came to the antibodies, he wasn't a match. My mom couldn't give her kidney because she only has 1 kidney, but it wasn't due to like kidney failure. So our cases were totally separate, like they weren't connected in any way. So Tyron tested, and I think that's the only other person tested. I want to say that's the only person. I can't remember. I remember my sister, like she was she was saying she didn't know. I never asked her. She was saying that she didn't know, and I don't know. We're just, you know, I don't know. I don't want to tell her story, but she didn't want to give her kidney. She didn't want to give her kidney to me. But I didn't ask her for it, and I wasn't expecting anybody to give me their kidney. I never asked anybody. Let me tell you, Tyron's cousin, I'll just say our cousin, he offered his kidney, not directly to me, but his family. His mom told me that he was like, she need a kidney, like I'll give her kidney. I remember a family. So y'all, that was a dolphin. I don't know if I got it on camera. A dolphin was passing right in front of where we're sitting on the beach. So another person was a family friend. He didn't tell me, again, he didn't tell me directly, but he told a family member, and that was it. That's all I remember. So and like I said, and I'll just say it again, I don't know how many times I said it, but I did not ask anybody, and I didn't expect anybody to give me their kidney. And I don't know if I would have wanted that. Just pressure. I feel like it would be pressure on me, like it's almost like I owe them something, you know, if they gave me their kidney. Yeah, so I don't know. But anyway, that's just how I look at it, and I could be wrong, I don't know. So I got on the transplant list. I was on the transplant list 2 years. It's so ironic how they called me right after we got married. The first time they called me was in December. Yes, they called me in December as a backup. So they called me as a backup. They said that if this person doesn't come or they're not able to get the transplant, you're gonna be up. Like you're gonna get this kidney, their kidney to get blood. All right, so the person got the kidney and I didn't get the kidney. Let me stop saying the same thing over and over again. All right, so January comes, February comes, March comes. Early in the morning, I get the call. I know the action number. Oh. I get the, y'all, I am so scared of these birds. I get the call from auctioneer. It's my kidney. They're like, I can't remember what they said. I think they ask you if you have a fever or stuff like that. And they tell you to be at a hospital at a certain time. I get up. It's the day of, was that your cousin? Who was that person? That was Tyron's godmother. It was her funeral. So I get up. He's getting ready to go to a funeral. I go to Walmart. I get all the stuff that I need by myself. Like nightgowns, just everything that you need for the hospital. I'm nervous, y'all. So they went to the funeral. The girls went with Tyron to the funeral. I went to the hospital. I didn't want a lot of people to know that I'm about to have this major surgery. My first major surgery. First time going under. Was it my first time going? Yes, because when I got the catheter and all that stuff, y'all, I forgot to say that I was woke. When they put this catheter in my chest, I was woke. I remember feeling, and I don't know why they cut me on my neck too. I just don't remember. I remember feeling like the blood dripping when they cut me. I know that's like going back and forth, but some things I just forget. I was so scared just for that, because I'm like, I've never had this done. But anyway, so this is a transplant morning. I go to the hospital and they're like, because let me tell you something, in order for them to okay you to get a transplant, they want to make sure that you have support. Like, that's a big deal. They want to make sure you have support. So when I got to the hospital, I got there by myself, and they're like, well, where's your family? Where's everybody? Where's your husband? And I'm like, they're coming, and they just keep asking me. So I'm in the room where I'm gonna be. Nice huge room. And they're prepping me, getting me together for everything for the surgery, taking all my vitals, blood work, all that kind of stuff. I had 2 nurses there, and I can remember their faces like nothing. So they prepped me for surgery, and I'm in there waiting. And then my mama came, Tyron came. The girls didn't come. Who was it? Was it just you and Nyla? Brittany came too, and my sister. So they were all there. So out of that room, which is where I will be staying in the hospital, they take me to the, I guess, the OR prep room, like the waiting room to go into the OR. So the anesthesiologist comes in, young black lady. I know that doesn't make a big deal, but that's just what I remember. She was a young black lady. She came in, explained to me what she was going to give me. So they gave me something to calm me down. It didn't even work. So I know they were talking about, oh, she's so young, you know, to be going through all of this. So I'm just nervous at the time. And I don't know if my mom and my sister left out the room to give me a turn, just some time alone. Like, that's how I remember. I can't remember. So it's time for them to come and get me. So they came and got me. I was so nervous. So she gave me something else to calm my nerves. So then she wheels me out in front of the operating room. It was actually her, she was a black lady, and then this other guy, I don't know what he was, but she was the anesthesiologist. I don't know if he was too, because I want to say she was like, she may have been, what do you call it, resident. Maybe he was the attending anesthesiologist, I don't remember. So they prayed with me, and when I tell you the moment they prayed with me, just peace came over me. So they wheeled me into the room. I know I wasn't nervous anymore because I looked over at the table and I saw the kidney, and I was like, oh, that's the kidney. And I just felt like a joy because I had already prayed when they called me that morning, God, if this is your will, let it happen. If not, I don't want it. So I go into the operating room, like I said, and then I see the kidney on the wow, this is gonna be a long story time. I see the kidney on the table, and I'm like, is that the kidney? And they were like, yeah. So after that, I don't remember anything. I wake up and I go into the room. I wake up and I'm already in the room. I'm in the not the recovery room, but I'm in my hospital room where I'm gonna stay at. And I just remember saying, like, I'm under these heavy drugs, like sedation or whatever, because it's right after, of course, surgery. So I'm like, where's my family? Where's my family? And they were all right there. And I go back out, and that's it. That's all I remember from the day of the surgery. I want to say I was in surgery for probably like, what, 4 hours? Longer? So I don't remember. I don't know.
At least
6 hours?
Because even like after, well, maybe like 4 or 5, because then after that you had to stay into the
recovery.
Yeah, we didn't see it was like 7 hours.
Okay, so I was in, excuse me, the operation maybe like 4 or 5 hours. So I come out, and like I said, I see them. I say where's my family? And they were all there. And then I went back out. The next day, I don't really remember, y'all, but I remember, I don't know if they made me walk the next day or the day after that, but I remember walking and I had staples in my stomach. So they put the transplant in your stomach, and I had staples in my stomach. And I remember I had to walk, and it just felt like pulling. And so I was walking like this, and I remember my mom was making fun of me. It was me, her, and Tyron, and we walked down the hospital or whatever. So after they discharge you, you have to go to the hospital every single day for labs to make sure that your body is not rejecting the kidney, and make sure that everything, your kidney is the kidney is functioning and everything. They have to test these meds because you have to go on anti-rejection medicines. You're supposed to take them for the rest of your life. I'm not going to claim that because I'm still claiming healing for my body. So you're supposed to take those anti-rejection medicines for the rest of your life. Those anti-rejection medicines have side effects of their own. So I just want to speed things up. So you would think, okay, I got this transplant, you know, everything's good, everything's smooth now. Like I said, you go to the hospital every day for I don't remember how long it was. The transplant medicine, the anti-rejection drugs, they suppress your immune system, so your immune system won't fight off the kidney, which makes you prone to infection. Right after the transplant, infection. I was getting infections. Like, I was going back and forth to the hospital so much. I was so tired, y'all. When I tell you, I don't even remember how many times, but I know, like, I literally stayed in the hospital. And you want to know something else too? That when we were talking about this recently, the girls were so young at the time. And you know, kids can act different ways, react in different ways to these type of situations. Some of them can act out, some of them come, you know, it can cause them depression, sadness, or whatever. When I tell you God had his hands on us all around, like the kids were not affected by this at all. So the infections, so I was just like in and out the hospital all the time, constantly in and out the hospital, constantly in and out the hospital. The worst infection that I can tell y'all that I had, I lost my eyesight. I went to the hospital. I had a bad infection. Let me just try to see how it started. So the way I would know that I have an infection, I would have a fever, chills, and it's just like a feeling that I know. And it's not like a gradual thing. It's just like I wake up and that's it. It's on. And I have to go to the hospital and it's like severe. So I was in septic shock. I went to the hospital. They admitted me. I don't know if it was the same night I went to the hospital or the next night. I woke up from a nap or something. I opened my eyes. I see and then I don't see. Then I'm like calling for the nurses. I got out the bed and I had to get out the bed like feeling my way to the hall. And like I am a nervous wreck. Just imagine waking up and you can't see. So she came to the room and I'm like, my mom worked at Action at the time. I'm like, call her, she's in such and such department. So they called her up there and she came up and she sat there with me for a little while and they got me combed. They kind of combed me down, and the doctor was asking her if I suffer from anxiety or anything, but I didn't. So the next day I woke up, I was able to see. So but my body, like my blood pressure started to drop so low, and my body was starting to shut down. So they sent me to, it wasn't ICU, I think it was critical care. They sent me to critical care. They had to put a big IV in my neck to where if they were going, you know, for the medicine that they were going to give me, that it would, I guess, get to my system quicker. In this room, like I really don't know what was going on because I was like out of it. I just remember when I'm to a point to where I don't want to watch TV, I don't want to talk, I don't want to do anything. I was like, I was dying. So my mama, and I don't even remember this, she had to tell me. So she said that she got up and she said something was telling her, don't get up, like don't make yourself look stupid in front of these people. So she got up and she prayed over me. And when I tell you, things start to turn for me like instantly, like things start to turn. I've never been that sick, and I'm pretty sure I'm leaving things out because like I said, I was in and out, like I was barely knowing like what was going on around me. Like I don't know who was there, who came there, and all this other stuff. So all of my numbers start to come up, my blood pressure started to rise again, and I stayed there. I don't know if I stayed in that department another day, and then they moved me back up to TSU, which was a transplant unit, and the doctors were like, you are so lucky, like you're so lucky. And I stayed in the hospital a little while longer and then I was discharged. But like I said, those infections, right after my transplant, I was getting them regularly. Like that, I want to say the first couple of years I was getting them regularly. Then they started to be every year. But every single time I get an infection, they get into my blood. So I always have to be admitted to the hospital, and they always have to give me the IVs through the IV. My camera cut off. So that's that. Is that my entire story? I haven't had, fast forward, I haven't had an infection since August of 2019, praise God. Another thing with the transplant, like with the drugs. So I feel like these medicines, I just feel like they cause other things to happen. So I feel like with the medicines that I'm taking, it has caused me to age faster. My hands, one of the side effects of my medicines, it causes my hands to look dark and just like old and rough. What's another side effect? Blood pressure. Like, I didn't have high blood pressure before, but I do now. And like lately, even though I was on a medicine, I was on the lowest dose that they had probably like a couple weeks ago. I noticed that my blood pressure started to be elevated again, so my doctor had to raise the pressure in my blood pressure medicine. And I'm like, what do you think is the cause of this? And he's like, well, it's normal for transplant patients, because he said he had other patients that were on like 3 different medicines. So it's just like, that's one thing, like the side effects and the other areas of your health that it affects, and it's causing me to age prematurely. I feel like that's me, you know. Other people may not see it, but I see it. What else? Just, I don't know, but that's my transplant story. I know I'm probably leaving a lot of stuff out. I hope I put everything in here, y'all. But if y'all have any questions about my story, just leave comments down below. All I can say is, through it all, God had me. He had a plan for me, and he kept me, and he's still keeping me. And I'm so grateful, so thankful to him, because without him, I would not be here. Yeah, y'all. I went through so much, and I know I'm leaving a lot out. I just can't think of everything. But I'm gonna end that video here. I will see y'all in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.